Kia ora, welcome to Sunday the 6th of November 2022. Little misty, can't really see it here I guess. Sun is coming up quite low. Today is end of daylight savings, so time wise, of course our body clocks are all out of whack. The dog's body clocks are all out of whack. The dog's got a nice early breakfast this morning because I didn't manually adjust the clock last night and thought it was later than it was, but they are not unhappy about getting an early breakfast, so I guess there is that. Kira, come on, come here. So anywho, so what to talk about this morning? There's a song by Shriekback called Nemesis, which is one of their hits in the 80s. I guess you could say one of their few actual hits, but they're a band that's been going for quite some time and still continue to produce excellent tracks. In fact, if anything, like a good wine, they've matured over the years, and their music has as well. As artists, they've gotten older. So I think they've been going for over 40 years now. Maybe a little older, a little longer in terms of previous incarnations, but anyway, the point is the line "in the jungle of the senses" from the Nemesis song. And while we don't live in a jungle, certainly we're now living in a forest. But I talked a little while ago about being dissociated, feeling dissociated, and one of the things I found after my somewhat longer ramble, with apologies, and walk last night, was in actual fact I felt quite a lot better. There are briars around this part. I can tell to briars. I don't like briars. Spent years on the old property keeping them under control. Anyway, tangents. So I guess it's a little easier to kind of walk through our forest now, because you can't see the forest for the trees, you can't see the trees for the leaves, or you can see the trees for the leaves because all the leaves are on the ground. So it's a little easier to make my way around. So temperatures are looking pretty good today. I might actually go and do a bit of a extended walk around our property, and just make my way through and just have a look, see for animal tracks and other bits and pieces. Because part of the point of being in nature is learning to connect, I guess, and to feel again, to break that dissociation. And while we do get noise here, I mean, we're not like super duper isolated and such. Kira, come on. Kira, good girl. She likes to wander. I can still hear occasionally, depending on wind direction, traffic noise from 40, because we're what, 3.5 miles away from there. So we're rural, but we're much like when we were where we still are in Ohio. We're not completely disconnected from life outside the bubble. disconnected from the bubble, more accurately. It just means that, you know, we have to plan and make an effort to go places. But I was talking to a neighbour the other day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we've got to exchange numbers, and you know, anytime someone's going up to, you know, to the store doing a shopping run, you know, they can reach out and we can have some lists, and you know, that'll save our trips going up to the shop and stuff like that." Which I guess is actually not a bad idea, because you're conserving gas and you're conserving trips and time and what have you. I kind of didn't have a heart to tell him that even though gas prices are pretty high, we have a pretty good budget set aside for travel at the moment. And, you know, you don't want to spend all your budget because that's kind of the point. But we don't mind actually taking trips every other day or every other day to go and do the stuff that we need to do. And it's not because we're trying to connect with society or anything to that effect, but it's just more of a, you know, we're used to traveling, and if we have to travel 25 minutes to get somewhere, then we have to travel 25 minutes to get somewhere. Love these red leaves. Here's a thing, because in New Zealand we don't really have a change of seasons per se. I mean, sure, it gets colder and hotter, and yeah, respectively in the winter and summer seasons. But most of the forest and the woods are evergreens, so you never really get that, unless there are certain trees. But you never really get that change of seasons. And I guess that kind of kicks back into the jungle of the senses. In the jungle of the senses, you know, the rest of it goes Tinkerbell and Jack the Ripper and various other meanings, various other words. Shriekback is excellent for language. But anyway, you know, part of the senses thing is these transitions that we have here in the northern hemisphere and in the States, whereby, you know, things change and then they kind of come round again. So I'm not going to go all hippy dippy and talk about cycles of rebirth and all that kind of thing. The point is that if you've lived here and it's been your thing all your life and you take it for granted, then I think you kind of miss out a little on the impact perhaps later in life. I know that sensation, you know, my first couple of winters in the States, because, you know, in New Zealand we have a pretty mild climate. Doesn't, unless you're really far south, you don't really get snow over winter. In Nelson, where I'm from, you know, snow might occasionally drop on the hill lines, but it's usually melted off pretty quickly. You don't get to go and play snowball fights. But here we're well into fall, autumn, and sadly the storms kind of stripped most of the leaves, but prior to this we got that wonderful transition where everything was just like super green and lush and the trees were just going like crazy, to this kind of Spartan looking post-apocalyptic treescape, which is still pretty cool. But we've had the benefit of those changes of colours and things. And I don't know, I guess the same could be said for those that come and visit New Zealand, spend time there, is that it comes around to autumn and things don't really change. So that might be a nice experience for some people. I don't know. Kira! Come on! Come on! Come on! Apologies for that. So yeah, it's my little ramble this morning. I guess things are starting to, synapses are starting to fire again, which I'm going to take as a good sign. I think I'd shut down for a while there, which is never great. I don't like doing that. You watch my loss video when my wife and son died. The defense mechanism for that was to go to the dark place, I guess is the best way of describing it. I'm not saying that the dissociation was related to that, but the dark place is I can only really describe it as that. It's not even really a dark place. It's a part of you that is devoid of everything. It's more like a purgatory in a biblical sense, I guess. Self-imposed or defensive or whatever you like. But it's not pleasant because you don't feel anything and you're just detached from everything. And I might talk a little bit about that when I get around to doing some videos on mental health and stuff. But for now, it's not apropos. It's just a nice day and enjoying this lovely walk in the morning. So I'm going to leave the ramble at that. Yeah, if you're feeling a little dissociated or detached and the weather's up to it, then take that time and take a nice walk. I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't do something just for the sake of doing something, but if you find that it helps, then there's certainly no harm, right? So anyway, chat again. Like these rambles, then by all means subscribe, and it'll keep my wife happy. So it's her channel that these are largely hosted on. I'm going to go and have a hot drink. It's a little cool out here still. My body clock is completely 1 hour out of whack because of stupid daylight savings ending. And I think we're going to go through another year of it before anything really happens, because I don't believe that legislation has actually been fully passed and ratified. So anyway, we'll see. We have midterms coming up in a couple of days here in the United States. So this week will be definitely a crossroads week. It'll be a seminal week in terms of as a nation, possibly as a world, where we're going to be going moving forward. So I am being an optimist, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, I guess, is the other side of the coin. So something to think about for any of you going out and voting. Do what you think is right, but do your homework before you do. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye.